rule, and the chair will recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. McClintock.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've seen a growing number of increasingly aggressive acts by the federal government and its agencies to suppress debate in many different forums. The IRS intimidation of Tea Party activists through its abuse of its authority, the use of intelligence and law enforcement agencies to suppress vital information, such as the contents of the Hunter Biden laptop or dissenting views on COVID, all that turned out to be factual and correct. You know, the beating heart of democracy is freedom of speech. That's the right of every citizen to express their opinions freely. It's by this discussion that we have the tools to sort out fact from fiction, or wisdom from folly, or right from wrong. That's how a free society finds its way. And a free press is absolutely fundamental to that process. Without it, the people cannot make informed decisions or hold their government accountable for its actions. And human nature being what it is, we all know that the most closely guarded secrets of the government are not those that are marked top secret, it's those that are marked embarrassing. And it's precisely those embarrassing facts that are most important for the public to know. Now, I agree with the ranking members that CBS has the right to shape its own coverage, no matter how biased it might be. But when the government pressures any news outlet, or for that matter, any private party, to suppress or shape its coverage, that crosses a very bright and dangerous line. So, Ms. Herridge, do you know if CBS's actions were influenced by the government in any way?
Use your mic.
Pardon me. Congressman, I'm not someone who's known to offer speculation, so I can't really answer that question directly.
Okay, fair enough. But with all of the travail that you've been dragged through by the government, has anybody within the government been held accountable for these acts against you and your freedom?
Congressman, based on my experience, I feel that we're in a very dangerous place as journalists. I'm facing crippling fines, up to $800 a day for protecting my confidential sources. I'm fortunate that that has been stayed pending the appeal.
Who's responsible for that, though? I mean, who are the actors within the government that are waging war against the freedom of individual journalists like yourself to report the facts that the American people need to form their own opinions?
If you're referring to my particular case, I want to be respectful of the ongoing litigation. It's in front of the appellate court. I want to emphasize that I'm only a witness in that case.
Let me ask you this. Has anybody been held accountable for these acts against you?
No.
Okay, Ms. Atkinson, what's your experience?
Well, I think it's interesting to hear people say, and I agree with this, that the government should not be intervening in news coverage, but in my experience at CBS, that happens every day. Members of committees, heads of committees, members of Congress, and the White House call the Bureau in Washington, D.C., contacts that they have, editors and managers up in New York to try to shape our coverage.
Well, that I don't find particularly objectionable as long as there is no force or threat of force behind that. Do you find that to be the case? Or,
I don't know what was said.
There...
I just know they called. There's no physical force threatened, but there certainly is a great deal of pressure, weighing on the networks in terms of their coverage.
Well, what about government acts directly? Have you encountered such intimidation yourself directly from the government, or is that all kind of channeled through your employers?
Well, I felt a great deal of pressure channeled through my employers. I was told that certain stories weren't going to air because we were getting phone calls, and even though there was nothing wrong with the stories, let's just let it rest for a day, let's pick it up another time. They're really mad this time, and there was no objection over the content of the story or the facts. It was they just, as I was told, they just didn't like it, or it was a story that they felt was unfavorable at times.
Well, I mean, if they were offering additional facts that might have been ignored, if they were offering different opinions, that's freedom of speech. But if behind those suggestions was the threat of force, that's a completely different matter. Do you agree?
Yeah, my position was when political officials call into the newsroom, there should be a policy where we tell them if they object to something or have a factual issue that they should put it in writing and send it in. But there are these extensive conversations that go on behind the scenes. I only know about a few of them, a relative few of them. I'm sure they happen in other scenarios as well.
Thank you.
Thank the gentleman from California. I will now recognize the ranking member for any questions he